Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Now for today's video, I'm going to be joined by a good friend of mine that I've worked with for a few years now. Go ahead, man, introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Zulhazreen and Zulkifli, and I'm very happy to be back here again, especially after the videos we've done in the past when I'm still new to this platform. So yeah, thanks for inviting me again, Clayton.
No problem, man, anytime. Zul has worked with me over the years, starting... I think we started to talk about the Mattel toys back in 2018, but after that, he has made every single one of the CGI dinosaur intros that you've seen on my channel, and they've all been great. I've loved all of them, and he's been really gracious to we talk a lot behind the scenes, and he's pretty in depth with all things Jurassic World, so it's cool to get you back on the channel. It has been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely been a long time.
Yeah, but today, well, you're back, and today we're going to be talking about all things Jurassic World Dominion, specifically why we are so excited to see this movie. And coincidentally, we had this lined up a few days ago, but then out of nowhere, they dropped the information that Dodson was going to be in this movie, so that kind of worked out pretty well.
Definitely, it's really excited to talk about this. I mean, we have a lot of news coming by to us, and I mean, just really excited to know a lot more about this movie after, what happened outside,
Yeah, I mean, so as far as like how this movie is going to be presented to the audience, one of the things that makes me really excited is just the fact that there are so many dinosaurs that you can actually see integrated into normal life. And what I mean by that is like, imagine dinosaurs interacting with an everyday animal that you see, like a bear or like deer. You've got what are basically a bunch of invasive species coming into the world that are not only breaking out in California, but that have been sold off to various companies in Fallen Kingdom and shipped to Russia or China or Japan or wherever they went to. And then you have those people cloning them. I can see the dinosaurs like becoming somewhat of a nuisance, if you know what I mean. Like, we got to get these things out of here. Like in Florida, they can't get rid of iguanas. Imagine that, way worse. Like, you can't get rid of like compies, or you can't get rid of like Parasaurolophus, like destroying crops. Like, to me, it's the ramifications of what Dominion represents for what they talked about in the original Jurassic Park, but as well as the novels and all these other movies. It's like it finally happened. It's not just you go back to the island and run around a little while. It's like, this is for real. The dinosaurs actually got out. Now you got to deal with the ramifications that come from that. That alone excites me. Sure. And well, what do you think? What do you think they're going to do with that idea, if anything? Do you think that'll be utilized heavily, or is that just going to be brushed over?
I mean, I think it's going to be a top topic, for the society in Jurassic World Dominion. They're invasive species, like you said, especially when the size of these dinosaurs, they're huge.
Right.
So letting them go just like that will be a huge problem, especially for brachiosaurs. Could you think how brachiosaurs could, walk around this mainland like an elephant, rushing through a village or something, knocking down the houses?
Yeah, it just walks like 10 feet and you've destroyed like cars, houses, telephone poles, like just by it walking. Like, that's an interesting concept, because you're obviously, there are going to be people like in Fallen Kingdom, Ian Malcolm, where they're like, we got to kill these things. Like, they can't, we can't let them run around and like destroy the world, even though that's a little apocalyptic, that's a little hyperbolic, but you know what I mean. Like, they're going to mess up a lot of people's lives. So
yeah,
and that's like one brachiosaur. Can you imagine a herd of Triceratops? Can you imagine like the amount of food that would need to sustain a Tyrannosaur, like, just for a week? Like, there's going to be a lot of missing people, like, if they don't actually, like, keep that under control, if you know what I mean.
I mean, that could be that could be a scary concept, if the movie starts with the missing poster of people, and then just hear, the story of people going camping and then they got eaten by a dinosaur. That would be a really, really scary start.
Don't go down that road. There's raptors down there. Yeah,
there ain't goddamn raptors out there, boy.
I can imagine that being a little silly, though, for people to be like, well, actually, you know what? No, because that is one thing people would be like, yeah, well, why don't they just go kill all the dinosaurs? Well, what if they tried, and what if it is like the book where they think they've got a handle on it? Like, because in the book, there's all these motion tracker systems. In fact, all the dinosaurs do have tracking implants in them.
Oh, yeah.
But what about the ones born in the wild? You can't account for those. So what if they go and kill a bunch of them? They're like, oh, we got them all. And the ones that we didn't catch, it's like there's a bunch of Edmontosaurs or Pteranodons out there. Like, who cares about that? But then, like, they start breeding, and it's like, oh, well, we actually don't know how many of them are out there. Or there's so many different directions that they could go with this movie. It's exciting to think, like, watch them not do any of this. Watch them just like gloss over it, like, oh yeah, the dinosaurs are free. And then like it's a completely different story about like nothing.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that the thing about Jurassic Park, is that you can't regain control of nature?
Yeah, it's a central theme.
Yeah, you just can't, even if the dinosaurs have implants, the ones that got bred is, we can't assume how many are there. Well, that's the newly bred.
That's the thing, is Battle at Big Rock showed the 2 Nasutoceratops, but they had an infant with them, which means that the dinosaurs are breeding. So like, even if you are somehow able to get control of like the tracking devices that are in all these animals, obviously the ones born in the wild, you're not going to know anything about. Like, they're going to be unaccounted for, if you know what I mean.
After you got them all, you don't probably get the ones that got, the ones that got birthed. So just imagine if the T-Rex laid an egg. I didn't say it did, but just imagine if the T-Rex laid an egg, up to 3 infants survived. So if you got the T-Rex, there's still 3 dinosaurs running around that place.
Well, so, I don't know if the T-Rex will actually lay an egg. Doesn't it need a mate?
Nah, it won't.
Yeah, well, they could write whatever they want with parthenogenesis. Is that what it's called? Where like an animal will just reproduce when it has to, so it will produce a fertilized egg if it means like the continuation of their species. But that sounds a little too Godzilla 1998 to me. And I get that movie was over 20 years ago, but I still remember it. Maybe I'm an old man. I don't know.
I still remember that one.
Right. Like, they could do anything with the T-Rex, though, generally speaking. If they did have someone run out to kill it, that's a little bit of an audience, like, boo. Nobody would want to see that, because you want to see the T-Rex throughout the whole film. I can see the T-Rex getting captured. And like,
that's the thing that I just thought about an hour ago. I mean, we know that Bison is going to be in this movie.
We do.
Maybe Dodson hires some hunters to go tranquilize the T-Rex or the other dinosaurs just to get some samples of their blood to clone them. Maybe.
Oh, and Bison makes like a different type of, like, maybe a more accurate Tyrannosaur. And it's like InGen versus Biosyntech, like 90s versus 2020s. That'd be interesting. Like, this is what's so exciting about this movie, is they can go in a million different directions with the story, and we're all just theorizing here, having fun. But like, with the incorporation of, like, let's say Biosyn, I don't know, capturing the T-Rex and putting it somewhere, the incorporation of Dodson into the story, what did he want to do in The Lost World? He wanted to catch a bunch of T-Rexes and he didn't want to catch them, he wanted to take their eggs and like put them in a reserve where like the rich could hunt them. So like, imagine a hunting reserve somewhere where they've got the T-Rex and like they're waiting for some guy to pay like a big price to come and kill it. Like, again, that's from the books. I don't know if they'll adapt that completely, but they're adapting a lot of stuff from the Michael Crichton novels, and that's exciting to think about.
I mean, we don't know for sure how many they will adapt into Jurassic World Dominion, so get our hopes up.
Well, that's the weird thing too, is like, this is a movie, like we saw in Fallen Kingdom, that they took a lot of like small ideas from The Lost World and from the Jurassic Park book. And I think this next movie, with them putting Dodson in, and especially with them naming Biosyn, like, what do you think that they could adapt from the books that they haven't already?
for the novels, I hope they adapt the the slimy, stinky, freaking Dodson character, where he's just a bad guy. I hope they adapt that just so we can have a villain that is really menacing.
They probably will. You don't bring Dodson back to like change his character. Like I have a feeling that they are bringing him back to be the ruthless, vicious guy he is in the books. Like,
yeah.
I mean, if they don't, then that's like the one thing that I do worry about. You can't really adapt Dodson's death. For those of you that don't know, Dodson dies by one of the T-Rexes actually picks him up and takes him to the babies at the nest, and the babies kill him. They already kind of did that with Peter Ludlow in The Lost World. So, I mean, they might be able to pull it off again, but I have a feeling that to kill Dodson, you might need to come up with something else. What do you think? Do you think that they would kill Dodson off? And that's just, to me, that's too similar to the second movie.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time in forever the character is returning, right? So
right.
You need to have some big impact on the villainous character to die. I mean,
it's gonna be like a serious kill, no doubt. I have doubts that it will be identical to how it is in the book when they've already adapted that death for Peter Ludlow. You know what I mean?
If Biosyn, I mean, this is all my theory, but if Biosyn is creating some new clone dinosaurs, maybe the clone dinosaurs will get revenge on it. Kind of like they trap Dodson into one room, and the room is filled with the clone dinosaurs, and he just got mauled in there.
Well, you mean like a bunch of different types of species? I don't know that.
I don't know. It's not plausible, but I don't know. it's just my thinking.
Well, another thing that you really wanted to talk about, and I guess this comes from like your aspirations of you want to do VFX like full time, right? Like you actually want to get better to the point where you can work in Hollywood, correct?
Oh yeah.
Well, and you were talking to me about awesome shots that they could have in the movie. What's cool about that is now that we're not on the islands, you could do so many different landscapes to put like snow. That's a very different backdrop that we haven't seen before. And I can think of a lot of iconic imagery of a dinosaur in the snow for Jurassic Park that they could play with. What do you think they could bring to the table? I mean, I know it's something you're really interested in.
Just imagine a mountaintop, not a mountaintop, but a mountain in the background, filled with a kind of a conifer trees or something. I don't know anything about it throughout, terrain, but having a couple of dinosaurs, probably a migrating herd of stegosaurs, walking through the snow, could be really beautiful scenery, I would say.
Well, it would get ingrained in your head for sure, because it's like I said, we haven't seen snow before.
Yes.
Even suburbs, a T-Rex in the city in Lost World, like people can say whatever they want about that movie. That's very memorable. Like just watching a T-Rex walk through a neighborhood. If you mention that to anyone, if you mention like on the street, you're like, hey, there's this movie I saw and it had this image of a T-Rex looking in at the bedroom window of a little kid, and the kid stared back, they'd be like, oh, you're talking about Jurassic Park 2. They might not say Lost World, but they're like, yes, I've seen what you're talking about. Like, that's because it's iconic imagery. That's awesome stuff you can work with. And then on top of that, you have also like the money shots, like the T-Rex in front of the volcano in Fallen Kingdom, the T-Rex in the cargo hold of the SS Venture with that slow motion trank dart like coming to get it. The T-Rex. Jeez, the T-Rex in any of these, except Jurassic Park 3.
I mean, the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, at the end.
Yeah, of course.
With the banner falling down, yeah.
I just brought up JP3. Do you think we're going to get Spinosaurus in this movie? I say yes. What do you say?
I mean, I am really, really excited to see the Spinosaurus, especially if this is the conclusion of the Jurassic Park franchise of 6 movies. Hopefully we will see it, but I don't know. That's the thing. If we cram too much in this movie, it will mess up with the pacings and all that stuff. The stories will be jam-packed, so we can't focus on the main story or the side plots or the other stuff. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's one thing I'm concerned about too, is just the overall bloat of everything. I have a feeling they'll pull it off, but so look,
Yeah, I mean,
you've got Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, Ian Malcolm, Owen Grady, Claire Dearing, and Maisie Lockwood in the same movie. Now, obviously, at some point in time, we're going to have Alan Grant talking to Owen Grady. We're going to have Ian Malcolm talking to Claire Dearing. Ellie Sattler talking to Maisie. You know what would be really cool? Ian Malcolm talking to Maisie. Like, that's...
Oh, yeah.
Because he's going to be like... His reaction, he's like, what have you people done? You've like cloned a human being now. Like, that's...
I mean, he's going to be shocked.
He's going to have so much to say about that. He's going to be like, oh, that's bad. You know, like in the way that Jeff Goldblum does. But this is the kind of stuff that's so exciting to me. Like, I get the draw of Jurassic Park is the dinosaurs all over the place. And all that plot stuff with the novels and everything. I'm excited for that too. But on a more personal level... like characters like Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm and Claire and Owen just conversing with each other. Just, I can think of like, you can mix and match any of these characters and it's going to be interesting. What does Ellie Sattler have to say to Owen Grady? Like, what is that conversation going to be like? That's interesting to me. I really am looking into, I'm really excited just to see how these people work off of each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like you said about Ian Malcolm seeing Maisie for the first time. I mean, I can imagine Ian Malcolm being the first Jurassic Park Malcolm when he first saw Maisie, and then after Maisie spoils that she is a clone, he reverts back to the Lost World Malcolm.
Where he's like traumatized by what's going on around him.
I mean, he just tilted.
You've got this character, right? This chaotician. This guy's like, he's been preaching for years. That, you know, like, don't go to these islands, don't clone no dinosaurs, let the volcano kill them all, and now he sees like a human being. It's gonna...
This cloning is like cheating death, you see?
Yeah, it is. It's see that, and again, like, this is what's so interesting about Fallen Kingdom. Dominion is like, you've got all these elements that you can play with, and I don't know how they're going to address everything. But if you just put these characters in one room and just let them talk, like for fans of this franchise, that's interesting enough. You know what I mean? You can have, I don't know, Alan Grant talk to Claire Dearing, and Claire Dearing would be like, hey, I used to be in control of a lot of the systems at Jurassic World. And Alan Grant would be like, oh, really? I don't like dinosaurs. Or, you know, whatever he would say.
I don't know. She'll be against it.
Well, this is another thing, too. It's exciting to see how they're going to portray Alan Grant. Is he going to be like Alan Grant from JP1, where he's learned to love children and looking out at the window at the bird and it's like, oh, that's what dinosaurs turned into? Or is he going to be like JP3 Grant, where he's going to be like, why am I here? I don't have any money. you know, like...
I mean, that's the thing about Jurassic Park 3 Grant. I really like how his character grow, but... the thing I don't like is that he hates dinosaurs.
Yeah, I never liked that either. Even the first time I saw that movie, I remember going like, what, Grant doesn't like dinosaurs? What? He's a paleontologist. Because, and this is the thing, in the first movie, remember where he's like, Lex is screaming, go away. And he's like, they're not monsters, Lex. They're animals.
They're animals.
But in Jurassic Park 3, he's like, what John Hammond and InGen did at Jurassic Park?
Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
It's genetically engineered 3-part monsters, nothing more, nothing less.
It's like, what are you talking about, Alan Grant? Like, what happened in those in those years in between?
That shit, man.
Yeah. Like, but I do agree. Like, Grant, this is what's so interesting too, is how are they going to approach that character with not only, like, we all know the conversations he'll have with Owen Grady are going to be really interesting, but what about just him and Ellie? How's that going to work out? She was married to Mark, the guy that saved him at the end of JP3, and the guy that, like, she has kids with. Like, Mark is not going to be in this movie. I don't think he will be.
I hope so.
Oh, you hope he is?
No, I hope he doesn't.
Okay.
Shit. I like the relationship of Alan Grant and Ellie. I mean, they've been known each other for a long time, and after Jurassic Park, it seems like some sparks have been, lit.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
When freaking Jurassic Park 3, Ellie has a kid with somebody else Fuck.
Well, just they never explained why, and I kind of, dude, I'm telling you right now, I had so many stories in my head where I'd try to justify Jurassic Park 3, like changing the characters around and their motivations and stuff. Because the whole point of Jurassic Park was like Alan learning to love kids, right? I had this plot for like a sequel in between The Lost World, or in between Jurassic Park and JP3. Alan and Ellie were supposed to have a child, and like they lost the baby like in the pregnancy, and like Alan never forgave himself for it, and Dodson was involved, and like there was like another secret trip to Nublar. I'm talking about a story I came up with for Jurassic Park 4 when I was a teenager. So like I really wanted that whole thing explained. It was like, why isn't Alan with Ellie? What happened? But
I mean, it's confusing.
well, they did it on purpose. They did it like, oh, you didn't expect that, did you? And it's like, no, thanks. I don't like that idea. I mean, some people are fine with it, but what I'm bringing that up for is like, how do you address that in the next film? Is there a scene where Ellie says goodbye to Charlie while he's going to college with his Barney book bag, and then like she gets on the plane to go see Alan Grant, and she's like, hello, Alan, I just divorced Mark. Would you like to be my boyfriend again? Or are they just gonna like brush over? Yeah, sure, why not?
I mean, I also like the interactions of Alan Grant and Ellie in Jurassic World Evolution, Return to Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah, I really like that too.
Yeah.
Hearing those actors work off of each other is great. Also, you brought up the Return to Jurassic Park DLC for Evolution, where Jeff Goldblum is still hitting on Ellie after he knows that she's with Grant, and she's like she's like, shut up, dude, leave me alone. He's like, patience, Dr. Sattler, patience. It's like, Jesus. But I don't. That's another thing. Is Ian Malcolm married to Sarah Harding? That was one of the intentions for The Lost World, like how that movie was supposed to play out. So Julianne Moore has not been talked about in this movie. So is Malcolm like, what's his whole angle? Like, not even talking about like any relationship he's in. Is he working with the government to try and like contain dinosaurs? Is he speaking out at places trying to get them to not be sympathetic to these creatures? I have a feeling he's going to be antagonistic. I don't know. I wouldn't call him a villain, but he's definitely not on the, pro, let's save the dinosaur side. So,
yeah, I mean, after we saw him in Fallen Kingdom, I think he will be not on the same side as, our main characters, Owen, Grady, and Claire.
Mm-hmm. Because
it just like before what we talked about, having dinosaurs on the mainland free is a huge problem. It will destroy human civilizations in a split second. So I mean that's probably why Ian Malcolm doesn't want the dinosaurs to be free and all that stuff. Should just have them be killed, so that we could go to our regular natural life without any confrontations between humans and 65 million year old dinosaurs.
Well, I think that's he'll definitely be like opposing to the idea. By the way, I really do hope that they actually play into the hubris of humans thinking that they can kill all these dinosaurs that easily. A guy running out of his house with like a handgun shooting at a Parasaurolophus and the Parasaurolophus like just runs him over and kills him because people are dumb. Like, they don't understand even the calibers of like what kind of weapon you would need to take down a massive animal like that. And what if you didn't even know it? What if it just walked through your house while you were sleeping and you woke up and you're like, oh, well, I don't have a house anymore. There's ideas you can play with here that are, I think, really interesting. I don't know how they'll do it. It's just a lot of they could take this movie in like tons of different directions. I'm really excited to see just how the characters react off of one another, what the actual plot turns out to be, and like what they bring to the table that's new as far as dinosaur interactions and scenes goes. Because we know that's like the main draw to Jurassic, is the fact that it's the only dinosaur franchise that's like quality. Even the worst Jurassic Park movies are at least entertaining to watch. So, like, I do wonder what they're going to bring to the table now that they've got these animals all over the planet. They've got to be thinking of some really exciting sequences with, modern day natural world stuff in our backyards where just dinosaurs have invaded and start terrorizing us. There's like there's a ton of different ideas you could use on this movie now that they're off island. That's the crazy thing too, is like, I think more than anything, the concept of we've taken the dinosaurs off the island and made a whole bunch of people clone a whole bunch of different ones, and now they're all over the world, and now Dr. Grant, Dr. Sattler, and Dr. Malcolm are coming back to talk to Owen, Claire, and Maisie, and now Dodson's coming back with Biosyn. That's like about as hardcore Jurassic Park endgame you could get. Dr. Wu's in there somewhere too.
He's covering around behind it.
Yeah, this is a movie with a lot of promise, in my opinion. Like, I'm pretty interested to see where they go. One thing, okay, so with a lot of these movies, especially with like The Lost World and Fallen Kingdom, one of the pitfalls that they've fallen into, because this is a big movie, like there's a lot of people in this movie and a lot of ideas. One of the problems that they've had was being criticized for the writing, because things might not make 100% sense from like point A to point B. Now, a lot of it isn't actually, I get what people are complaining about, but it's not so much the writing's fault as much as it is the editing. And I'll give you some examples. Like in The Lost World Jurassic Park, we don't know how the baby T-Rex broke its leg. If you watch like just the normal version of the movie, you're like, I don't know how that happened. But in deleted scenes, we know that Peter Ludlow got drunk and fell on the baby's leg, broke it, and that's what leads to the poetic justice scene at the end where the T-Rex breaks Peter Ludlow's leg and the baby takes him out. And there's also there's various shots in The Lost World where Peter Ludlow is like clutching that flask like for alcohol, and you never like learn that he's a stupid stumbling drunk that broke the baby's leg, so that through line is not in the final cut of the movie. There's other scenes like they cut out explanations with Nublar. So one of the big complaints people had with The Lost World was, why are they going to Sorna when there's a perfectly good island? There was no explanation to it. And other scenes like that, well, Fallen Kingdom's a really good example too. I was actually told, I don't know how true this is, but from the source I got it from, I'm pretty sure it's accurate. You know the scene where the Indoraptor smiles, like in the cage when Ken Wheatley's trying to take its tooth? Well, apparently that scene was supposed to be a follow-up on an earlier scene where you were going to see how they were mistreating the Indoraptor, and there were people like shocking it with prodding cattle prod sticks and stuff like that. And one of the guys that was doing it was going to give off like a little smirk, like he enjoyed hurting the dinosaur. And after he was done zapping it, the Indoraptor was going to like twitch a bunch and like look at the guy's face and try to mimic that smile. And the guy was going to be like, whoa, that's creepy. Like, it's trying to like copy my smile. But it was the idea that this dinosaur is like, it's imprinting it's like, this is the face you make when you're like evil, like trying to hurt somebody. So when Ken Wheatley like goes to take the tooth, it was supposed to be like a psychotic kind of weird quip. It wasn't supposed to be like, oh look, it's smiling at the camera. It was supposed to be like, oh, that's creepy. Like, it's learned that from humans. So that's not like that's an editing issue with these movies. And the reason I'm bringing all this stuff up, another editing issue, by the way, they cut out the explanation for why the Indoraptor needs 3 trank darts before it like completely gets knocked out. Because in the movie, it's only the 2 trank darts, and they don't really explain completely like how it's able to still run around. But look, this is an issue with like cutting scenes out that explain stuff. And with Dominion being as packed as it is, I'll be really happy if they limit the number of deleted scenes. Like, I hope that they don't cut a lot out of this movie. If it's 2.5 hours, let it be 2.5 hours. You know what I mean? Like,
or longer.
I'll sit through the whole thing. I'm excited to see everything that you've got to show me. But if they do edit a lot of stuff out that explains this stuff, then I'll be like, oh, that's a bummer. I think a lot of people would probably be able to agree with me on that. I mean, there is stuff that's not like, another great example, the original Jurassic Park. They never explain to you why that Triceratops is sick. You have to go outside of the movie to figure it out. They give you the West Indian lilac thing, but when Ellie looks through the droppings, she's like, well, there's no West Indian lilac in here. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so you're questioning how the hell
why is it sick?
How the hell they got sick?
But we know as fans that they cut a scene out where Tim found the gastrolith stones that the Triceratops ate every 6 weeks to help digest their plant matter in their stomachs. And when they ate it, that's when they ate West Indian lilac, because that's where the stones are right next to those plants. But that's not in the movie. Yeah. So in the final cut of Jurassic Park, it's just like, yeah, this Triceratops is sick. Oh, you want to know why? Oh, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just sick. It's like, well, but yeah, it's a matter of like keeping scenes in the movie that, explain stuff. So yeah, I really hope they don't edit this thing down, because it is packed. There's so much stuff in this film that to get excited about. Can you imagine them hyping up like a Spinosaurus return? And it's in like 10 minutes of the film with a lot of cool scenes, but they cut like 3 of those scenes out, and now it's just like a cameo. That'd be disappointing for people that love Spinosaurus.
That's like Godzilla 2014 or something.
Well, yeah, where people complain that like Godzilla wasn't in much of the movie. I love that movie, by the way. The 2014 Godzilla. Yeah, that's a great. That movie captured like some Jurassic Parky feels sometimes. But yeah, that's what I mean. Is like I hope they keep this thing intact. Like, obviously trim the fat where it needs to be trimmed. But I mean, if you guys hype up like Dilophosaurus coming back and you cut like 2 of the 3 scenes it's going to be in, that's a bummer.
I mean, we've been waiting for Dilophosaurus for a long time, so...
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to get any of this twisted. I'm excited for this movie, right? I'm just saying, I'm so excited. I don't want you to change anything either. Like, you don't have to go cutting stuff down. Like, I've already made my point. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, what they need to do is just, when they finish filming, they should probably do a review on the movie, and if some of the scenes doesn't work, they could probably go for a reshoot and then add a couple of scenes so it makes sense, and then could fix something in the previous progress shots or something like that, and then it could work. And people will love it.
As long as they like delay the film, I think it'll be fine with any sort of reshoot or anything like that. I don't know if they will delay this movie. They haven't officially come out and said that they will, but if they do, I wouldn't be worried about anything making sense. I mean, they do this stuff on all movies. Like I've seen like a little bit of the Fallen Kingdom script. Like the reveal where Maisie is a clone was like way different, like in the script. I think they went back and reshot that. Also because it dealt with like Iris's death scene. Like, yeah, Claire was gonna like stumble over, because remember the Indoraptor like stabbed her in the leg, so she can't really like walk very well. She was gonna stumble over to Iris, who was dying, and Iris had that book that Benjamin Lockwood had, and Iris is gonna be like, here, let the girl know who she really is. And this is all before Claire like grabs the gun and goes to go deal with the Indoraptor on the roof. Like, I feel like after they cut Iris's death, they had to go back and reshoot like how they reveal the clone stuff to the audience, because I mean, maybe it wasn't that clear. Who knows? But I'm not worried.
That's the one thing that I know that you don't like that much is that the main character is not really in trouble.
Oh, so yeah. Oh, definitely. You have hit the nail on the head. That's one thing I really hope is in this movie, is having the main characters feel like they are in danger. See, and that's the thing too, is with the first Jurassic World, they caught a lot of heat from Zara's death. That was like heavily criticized.
I mean, I don't get it. Why is that really a problem?
I don't know. People, I can get if people thought it was a little over the top, which some people did, but for the people that were like freaking out and saying it was too violent, it was like, what? No, that's fine. Like,
there's not much blood in there, so what's so violent?
I don't know, but that's why Fallen Kingdom has none of the like good. Only villains died in Fallen Kingdom as a direct response of that criticism. And you are right. Yeah. I want the characters to be in like danger in Dominion. I want like, can you imagine how cool it would be if like, I don't know, like Lewis Dodson like threw Ellie over the side of the boat like he did Sarah in the book, And like the audience would be like, "What? Oh, like Ellie's just been killed." And like,
it will be a tense scene.
Like she doesn't have to die. Like she could live after that. But you have to put your main characters in danger. Like Owen Grady. Like what if a raptor just like ran up to Owen's like hand and just like ripped off a couple of his fingers? That's scary. Yeah, I mean, you're worried about him after that.
Because we'll know that they are vulnerable to danger. So
right. Exactly.
It really makes us feel like, oh, they're human, you know, they are us, you know, if we are in the same situation, that could happen.
Right. If they go for like, if Trevorrow was being like legit serious in Fallen Kingdom, where he said he wrote the movie way darker than it turned out, and you know they did plan on killing Iris originally, and she is a good character. Like they changed that stuff. So I mean,
they should start for her.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is the thing. Like, if they listen to, like, the complaints I've had after that, and they've been like, okay, we need to put these people in danger again. We can't just kill villains. Oh, my God, I'll be even more excited about it because it's like, then it's like, it could really get under your skin. It's like, is Alan Grant going to die here? Is Ian Malcolm going to die here? Is Claire going to die here? Like, you could do, especially with Dodson being thrown into the mix, man, like, this could get really crazy really quick. This is a very serious chapter, like in this movie franchise.
Yeah, it is very. It's like, you know, if you get the novels and then you cram it into one, it is very jam packed.
It's interesting that it's going to be in the 6th movie too. Like this is the end of the Jurassic World trilogy. I'm sure there are going to be more movies after this. They've announced, but
yeah, they did announce that. Yeah,
but for this movie, they're throwing out all the stuff. Dr. Wu. I mean, like BD Wong himself has said that like reparations are going to be in effect because he didn't die in the first movie. And I mean, he's good. Like it's insane to me that we're even getting a movie like this. It's exciting to say the least.
I mean, especially for Dr. Wu. I mean, death is literally waiting for him right now.
Well, you know they're gonna do it. Like BD Wong keeps saying how much he loves Dr. Henry Wu's death in the novel, and about how he called it a beautiful death, which it's a very well deserving and meaningful one to the like themes of Jurassic Park. So when they do that in the movie, whatever dinosaur does take him out, pretty sure it'll be savage, pretty sure it'll be pretty hardcore, and I hope that they deliver on his death as meaningful as it is in the book. I'm pretty sure they will, but again, it's just another massive thing to be excited for. We have not gotten a Jurassic Park movie that has taken every ingredient from the past 6 films and I say 6, Battle at Big Rock's kind of a movie, and blended them all together. Like usually it's, oh, The Lost World. This is a movie set on a totally different island with only one returning character and then Hammond's barely in it. Or Jurassic Park 3. You get Grant on the other island and a Spinosaurus and Ellie is barely in it. And then you got the Jurassic World movies, which were new characters, but Dr. Wu was in all of them. And then you've got this new park building on what happened in the original film, and then this one's just shoving everything in there from all the past sequels, all the books, every storyline imaginable that you can get off island. It's exciting to me. As a Jurassic Park fan, we've never had a movie like this.
Yeah, I mean, it is really, really interesting, you know, especially for the old movies, you know, it is a standalone one. I mean, sure, they have some continuing characters in them, but it is standalone. But for the Jurassic World franchise, it is completely continuing every single one of them, and it is really, really good to see that.
Yeah, I like the fact that they've done that, because I get a lot of comments from people sometimes where they're like, Jurassic World felt like the true sequel to Jurassic Park, whereas The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 were kind of like spin-off movies, because they're like set on a different island. Growing up, I would never, like, I was all about Lost World, man. Like, that was Jurassic Park 2.
I know you are, man.
Yeah, but like, at the same time, I can see where they're coming from, because you take here's how I've always tried to explain it. You look at the original Star Wars movie, right? Where you've got Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Leia, and the Rebel Alliance versus the Empire, Death Star, Darth Vader, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what if the Empire Strikes Back, you get rid of Luke Skywalker, you get rid of Princess Leia, you elevate Han Solo to the main character, and then you have a completely different villain that he's going after. Oh, and you give him a new girlfriend, by the way, too. That's not Star Wars 2. That's like something else entirely. So I get where they're coming from. To me, the original Jurassic Park trilogy, I don't even like calling it a trilogy, because trilogy, in my opinion, means a completed story, like with an arc. Yeah. Like that, the original Star Wars trilogy is a trilogy, right? And Jurassic Park was more like Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and Escape from... Have you seen these movies, Zul? You're like way younger than me.
I mean, I haven't seen the full movie, but I did watch some reviews on YouTube.
Okay, well,
Shadow.
long story short, like Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Charlton Heston's not the lead, and Escape from Planet of the Apes is like totally different too. That's what I'm trying to say here.
The three apes, right? The Beneath of the Planet of the Apes, Charlton Heston is. I think he showed up at the end, and at the first time,
you are right.
Some other character.
Yeah. But like Jurassic World was more like what they've done with those new ape movies, where they're like it's a story. Like, this is part 1, this is part 2, this is part 3, and I'm very grateful that in part 6 they're bringing back stuff from part 2 and from part 3 and bringing it full circle, because it's everything that I could possibly want and more, if that makes any sense. So I guess before we go any further, I should address like where you are standing in your fandom for Jurassic. You are much younger than me. When were you born again? I think you were born in 2000.
I was born on 9th of May 2000. Yeah.
Okay, so what was your first Jurassic Park movie you saw?
I mean, I remember vaguely seeing Jurassic Park. Literally, when I opened my eyes, Jurassic Park was playing on the TV. So I got hooked right after that. So
it's interesting that you didn't have to you didn't grow up. Were you aware of the Spinosaurus versus T.rex backlash that happened from JP3, or did that happen after? Did you understand all that afterwards, like as you got a little bit older?
I mean, when I was young, I am not in grasp with internet, so when I got older a little bit, I got it. And then there's a lot of backlash about the Spinosaurus and versus T.rex, so yeah, I was struck right there.
Right, because they were just movies. Like, when you were growing up, you weren't like, I can see how that happens. And when Jurassic World came out, what was that like for you? You were a Jurassic Park fan before Jurassic World, obviously, but you were like, what did you think when you first saw that one?
I mean, it was really, really awesome. Especially, growing up, I haven't watched any Jurassic Park movies in the cinema. Even though they premiered Jurassic Park 3D right there, but I didn't get the chance. So Jurassic World is the first time of me and my family watching Jurassic Park movies
in the theater,
in the cinema. Yes, definitely. It was a really, really exciting moment, especially when the stereo is booming right behind you.
Right, especially with your family going to see that movie together. If you've grown up loving it, I imagine that was awesome. I'll give you a little bit of backstory on my history with Jurassic Park and like where I come from. I don't remember the first time I saw the original movie, but it was always there. I was very aware of Lost World coming out. I would go to Kmart's and KB Toys, and there'd be like Lost World stuff everywhere. That green lime color in the toys and everything. Yeah. I was all about it, man. And I wasn't allowed to see it in theaters, but I did catch it on VHS as soon as it came out. And it scared me, but I loved it. Jurassic Park 3, much different story. So my family was at church, and I begged them. I was like, can we please go see Jurassic Park 3? And my mom and dad did not like Lost World. They were not into it. And they eventually bend the knee, and they were like, okay, let's go see Jurassic Park 3, Clayton. And I remember going into that movie theater, and when the movie opens with like the ripples in the water and the slash and everything like that, all of a sudden all my excitement drowned out, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm about to watch a Jurassic Park movie. Jurassic Park is scary. And like, I remember sitting in the theater like, this is gonna be like really gruesome and like hardcore and dark, and I'm gonna freak out. But then like the parasailing scene happened and like the fog went over the boat and it was just like the guys were missing. There was a little bit of blood and the guy was like, "It's gonna be okay, bud." And they like sail over to the island. I was like, "Oh, well, that wasn't that scary." And then like as the movie continued, the scene where Amanda Kirby is screaming in the megaphone, she's like, Ben, and she turns to say, "What's a bad idea?" And you hear that dinosaur roar, the Spinosaurus. Like, it actually, it was really irking my family. They were not having a good time. And when the plane crashed, my 2-year-old sister, who we brought with us, like started laughing at like Nash getting pulled out of the plane, and she was just hysterical, like going all over the place about how silly this was. And my mom got up and left. Like she walked out of Jurassic Park 3. She was like, "That's it," and it just left.
I mean, can't bother.
Yeah, well, like this, she came back, but the movie was so short that when she came back, it was the time where Billy's like, "I rescued your hat," and like the movie was over. And like I remember leaving and being in the car, and my mom was like, "Well, how was it?" My dad was like, "I don't know how, but it was worse than the second one." but I'm bringing all this up. I loved it for a good year. It wasn't until like a year later that I really started to rethink Jurassic Park 3 and go like, yeah, you know what? I didn't like this. I didn't like that. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. And eventually, I think what a lot of fans actually, what hardened them to Jurassic Park 3 and not liking it as much as the others, even though a lot didn't like 2, was the fact that there was no 4. Like for so long, there wasn't Jurassic Park 4. And by the time Jurassic World came out, I had to like drag my parents to the movie theaters. Like I was like, no. I saw it opening night. It's pretty good. You should come see it. And I remember I had to take them individually. I saw Jurassic World like 5 times, like just trying to get them to come to the theater. And when I sat my mom down and showed her the movie and she walked out, I was like, "What'd you think?" She was like, "Well, that was the best one since the first one." I was like, "Okay, so you liked it?" She was like, "Yeah, that actually felt like tonally like Jurassic Park. It wasn't too over the top and serious like Lost World, and it wasn't too silly and cheesy like 3. And I was like, "Okay, that's cool." Showed it to my dad. My dad was like, "Hey, that was a pretty good movie." But then by that time, I will admit, my dad like did a 180 on Lost World. Like he started to really like the second one. So where I come from is from like a different age group than you. Way before that, like growing up with Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 and the conversations around those movies and Jurassic World, it's interesting to hear your perspective and how excited you are for Dominion because, well, I think I've made my point. Like it's just a different experience.
Yeah. Here's a funny story. You know when way before we don't have Jurassic Park 4, and when we were younger, you know, you don't get a clench of reality yet, so you don't know how movies were made, if they're easy or not. So when I think I was 5 or 6, I asked my parents to find a Jurassic Park 4 CD movie, so I really don't know if it existed yet. So my uncle scoured the earth finding Jurassic Park 4, and he came back with a movie titled "The Land That Time Forgot," and this is not the old one.
Oh, it's a newer one?
Yep, it's a shitty one.
Oh, okay. I don't know anything apart from like the original like 70s Land That Time Forgot.
Yeah, I mean it is. I don't know how long it is. But it's a shitty movie, and the only thing that made my uncle buy it is because at the back it says, the tagline says, it has the same elements as Jurassic Park and King Kong. I was like, that doesn't have anything elements of Jurassic Park and King Kong.
Oh, wow, it's one of those like knockoff movies, right?
Yeah, it's definitely. Especially the T-Rex. The T-Rex is just the kind of like the app, you know, the talking T-Rex app.
Oh God.
That's the model that they use. And well, it roars like a tiger. I mean, it's really shit.
Well, you come from a CGI background, so I guess that's one thing we should talk about right off the bat. Like, the CGI in Jurassic World Dominion. Now, we haven't really seen anything of it. I don't think we've seen any, like, renders that are, like, officially confirmed from the new movie. What do you hope to see as far as the visual effects goes, or even animatronic effects? Like, what is it that you're really looking forward to dinosaur-wise in the next film?
we have seen hints of how the animatronics will look with a baby in a Zulhazreen, right?
Right. That wasn't CGI, but yeah, you are right. That was like a practical effect.
Yeah, I mean, it is really, really awesome to see that, and I think I have some high hopes for the CGI, especially after watching Battle at Big Rock.
Yeah, Battle at Big Rock CGI, especially on a $10 million budget, which I think that's how much it cost. It did look really good, even for the end of the movie, with like the Mosasaurus coming up out of the water to eat the great white, and
oh yeah,
the stuff with the parasaur on the bank. It's pretty cool how much they can do with a limited budget. I like the Allosaurus design. I really like the Nasutoceratops design. I guess if we're talking about CGI in general, though, is there anything that you're actually really hoping that they do specifically in the movie, like keyframe animation, motion capture, maybe something different that we haven't seen before?
For animation, I mean, we have seen some motion capture. Probably, because in the Jurassic World behind the scenes video, they showed a couple of moments where the guy in the visual effects studio wore a motion capture suit with a render of the Jurassic Park 3 Raptor in the background.
Yeah, for Jurassic World. Do you think they'll bring that back for Dominion?
I mean, hopefully. They did the same thing with the Jurassic World Blue, the VR experience thing.
Oh, I didn't know that was motion capture.
Oh yeah, the Blue was motion captured by a man wearing the suit, and it was in the studio at ILM, and it was really cool to see.
Yeah, that looked really. I thought that was keyframe animation.
I mean, they did add a couple of keyframe animations, but mostly it was motion captured.
Oh wow! What did they do the same for the T.rex?
I don't know about the T.rex though. I think it was keyframed because I don't see any footage of it. The only thing I saw was Blue.
Blue did look really good in that VR game, though. Like, she moved pretty fluidly. Well, yeah, if they do bring back motion capture, though, like, this goes into the story stuff, too. They've done it with velociraptors over the course of the Jurassic World movies. Now, from what they've told us in Fallen Kingdom, Blue is the last of her kind. In other words, we don't know if there's any other velociraptors in the Jurassic Park universe anymore. But I have a strong feeling that they will introduce new raptors, like feathered raptors, whether they be Dakota raptors, Utah raptors, pyroraptors, microraptors, like whatever they might be. Like, do you think that might be where we could see some motion capture utilized, or do you think that could be some other CG work?
I mean, we could see that. I mean, Utah Raptors definitely has the same build as a Velociraptor. So maybe they wore the motion capture suit and then acted like Blue, only a little bit more stiff because if they are going through the scientifically accurate route, I think the movement will probably be a little bit more stiff, especially with the hands.
The wrists and how the bones act. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so maybe they go through that route and then I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm really, really excited to see how the CGI progress, especially with the motion.
Well, this is the thing. Fallen Kingdom's visual effects, like as far as like dinosaurs go, particularly in the opening of the movie and everything that involved the Indoraptor, Fallen Kingdom's VFX looked really good. In fact, when that movie, it made the short list for the Academy, like to get an Oscar, but it didn't get a nomination, which was, it actually really infuriated a lot of people. They were like, why have you guys nominated Star Wars 4 years in a row? And here's Fallen Kingdom, like looking way better than Solo. But look, that's a whole other conversation. Yeah. That is one thing that I agree with you and I'm excited for too, is to see how they push forward with VFX. Animatronics are cool too, but Jurassic Park, before like any of the hipster talk about, forcing like the 80s-ification of blockbusters, if you know what I mean, like making sure practical is in everything, Jurassic Park was well known as the movie that broke through with groundbreaking CGI. To me, the first Jurassic World didn't really do much in terms of being as groundbreaking, but Fallen Kingdom And what we just said with like Battle at Big Rock and what they could do on the $10 million budget, the VFX have, in my opinion, gotten better. And I'm excited to see what they do like going forward if they really do buckle down and use new technologies. We've talked about motion capture, but also the Industrial Light and Magic video where they actually showed you how Colin Trevorrow did previs for inside of the trailer where the dinosaurs were outside. You know what I'm talking about, right? That was, well, the VR aspect of it. Like Colin was like, you could see in the computer, like Colin was there and where he'd point his camera was like where the dinosaurs were like showing up. Like, that's not like bargain bin CG work. Like that's ILM working, if you know what I mean. Like that's exciting to see if they do that on a bigger scale for Dominion but then again, I don't know what they would do that for because we have no idea what the plot of this movie is, like how intensive the computer-generated effects are going to be, or animatronics for that matter. We know dinosaurs are everywhere, but they're not going to be like armies of like in the Lord of the Rings, where like there's a bunch of elves and orcs like fighting each other. Like that, I don't think that's what we're going to be dealing with here. So I'm just excited to see them push that technology further. If they do, if they don't, I'll be let down a little bit.
I mean, we get dinosaurs in the snow, right? So maybe they have some, they have completed something, where the effects of the snow landing on the back of the dinosaur and then melts a little bit. Maybe that, dinosaurs are hot-blooded.
Warm-blooded. So yeah, it would theoretically melt as soon as it touched their feathers or something is another thing that you could talk about, and how they're going to perfect that. Because like you said, if they are going for scientific accuracy, then that would be something that they could really buckle in on and make sure it looks as lifelike as possible.
Oh yeah, definitely. As Jurassic Park is the #1 franchise where people see dinosaurs. So for children to see movies about dinosaurs, they will come to Jurassic Park. It's like the #1 source for dinosaurs. So for kids to learn more about dinosaurs with scientific accuracy, I mean, Jurassic World Dominion's got it.
Yeah, well, hopefully they do. Hopefully it looks great. And they're playing with pretty much everything available that they've ever had. Now, it could run into some problems along the way. We're not saying it might not, but we are both really interested to see what they do with this one. I mean, we've just gone on for God knows how long. I'm going to have to edit a lot of the stuff out, but we're excited for like what they do.
Yeah, I mean, we are really excited for this. Especially when it's the closure of all the Jurassic Park movies.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But hey, Zul, where can they find you? I mean, you've worked with me in these intros for like ever, but where can they go if they want to see more of your stuff?
You could go to my YouTube channel where I kind of uploaded a couple of animation videos when I'm having a spare time or something. But you can actually visit my Instagram where I recently did a VREX for Dangerville, so yeah, you could see some of the behind-the-scenes stuff like that in my Instagram. So yeah.
Yeah. By the way, all links to Zulhazreen's stuff is going to be in the description. You should definitely check it out. He's a good friend of mine. He's done animations with me for a long time, and he's been working on these animations forever. He is really into CGI. And he gets progressively better like every year. And it's fun to like watch him grow with this stuff. And I mean, I love watching it, man. So yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, links to everything is going to be in the description if you want to follow Zul on anything.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say thanks to people like you, Clayton, for, recruiting me for this. Because right now I've been recruited for multiple gaming studios, especially with Jurassic Life, so get hyped for that.
Well, dude, like, your work is cool. Your work is great. You're a good person. You've been a great friend to me over these years. You don't have to thank me for anything. I'm just grateful that you've been working with me doing this. Anytime, honestly. All right, guys. Now, we want to hear what you're excited about Jurassic World Dominion, what you're not excited about, and what you do want to see actually go down in the film. We've talked enough about it ad nauseum. I would really love to hear what everybody else's opinions are, and if you agree or disagree with anything that we've brought up in this talk. So, yeah, Zul, thanks for coming on. It's been an honor as always talking Jurassic with you.
It's my pleasure, man. So, yeah.
Now, before I go, I'd like to thank all of my game wardens, as well as all of my InGen executives. I'd also like to thank all of my park workers and InGen hunters as well. Guys, it seriously means the world to me that you all continue to support what I do, and I never want you to ever forget that. Now, I'd like to thank you all for watching today's video, and hope that you all enjoyed the content. If you feel like I deserve it, I'd appreciate the like and hope that you'll consider subscribing if you're interested in hearing from me again. I'll see you all in the next video, guys, and as always, take it easy.